This is the Devil's Guide to D&D. Devil's Delegate here, and today I'm looking at the monk in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Mostly the two subclasses, Astral Self and Way of Mercy. Before digging into those, I'll take a quick look at the optional monk class features that are new in Tasha's. There are 4 of them. Let's dig in. Dedicated Weapon, at 2nd level, is probably the most interesting. It allows you to make currently ineligible weapons into monk weapons, though they still can't be polearms or any heavy weapon, as apparently no one at WotC watched old Shaw Brothers films where martial artists are wailing on each other with polearms. Weapons generally allow the monk to do greater damage at low levels before their martial arts die increases, and more potential monk weapons means more potential damage. In practical terms, this means longswords, though also battle axes and warhammers, because the monk can already use a quarterstaff doing d8 damage, so the d10 of a longsword is as good as it gets. And this also opens up the more magical weapons for the monk, at least in games where a conservative DM who didn't just make quarterstaffs epically magical. Since the monk will need weapon proficiency from elsewhere, elves, dwarves, and Githyanki, all who get useful racial weapon proficiencies, are now better choices for a monk. Not a lot better, as it's only a minor boost. But a boost is a boost. However, it isn't a big enough one to be worth taking a feat to gain the weapon proficiency. The other effect of this feature is to de-incentivize taking the Kensei subclass, as its draw was to be able to use longswords. At 3rd, there's key-fueled attack, which, if you spent a key doing something for your action, then you can make a bonus action attack. This is a fix for subclasses like 4 elements that use their action for example, casting spells. So we're getting gypped out of attacks because the bonus action attack from martial arts requires taking the attack action. If they were to republish the monk now, they'd just reword martial arts. Interestingly, this can give a bump to Kensei archers, so the Kensei subclass is coming close to even. 4th gives quickened healing, which isn't particularly quick and is too costly. Spend 2 ki to regain a martial arts die plus proficiency bonus of hit points. This is slow and poor healing and nothing a monk will want to be doing in combat except under grave and unusual circumstances, like if your team healer is dead. Mainly, this is a place to dump unused ki before a rest, where it will rarely be necessary. Focused aim is new at 5th level. The monk can spend 1 to 3 ki to gain +2 to +6 on missed attack to try and turn it into a hit. This is too expensive to use often. For a monk, no single hit is all that important. It's cheaper just to save the ki for more flurry of blows. But should a single attack really matter for some unusual reason, it's nice to have this in your back pocket. Again, this is a boost to monk archers who took sharpshooter. Overall, considering what other classes were given as new optional features, this is a lackluster group. Sure, it beats what the bard got, but the bard didn't need anything. I wouldn't have expected the monk to get the kind of love the ranger got, but considering the new fighting styles and new metamagics, most of the other classes step a bit further away from the monk. I really wanted to talk about these 2 subclasses because there are some interesting things going on in design. Not good, but interesting. For Astral Self, that design interest comes from seeing how things can go so wrong. And in this case, it wasn't WotC designers that were the problem, at least at first. The problem came from a few very loud, very ill-informed players on the internet. Gee, who'd have thought loud people on the internet could be a problem? You see, Way of the Astral Self was first released in Unearthed Arcana as is the norm. The basic feature was the ability to create astral arms with a 10-foot reach. This gave a number of features that we'll be getting into in a few minutes. But the pivotal one for this discussion is that when you attack with the astral arms, you could then make one attack with them as a bonus action. This is the same as martial arts, but was needed due to the wording of the UA version. But then the number of attacks would go up at higher levels, increasing to 2 at 11th level and 3 at 17th. This is a good ability. Not great. What it does is that from levels 11 to 16, you got the equivalent of Flurry of Blows without paying key. That's okay. At 17th, a separate feature gave one additional attack when the monk took the attack action, at a cost of 10 key. Too pricey. But overall, doing 6 attacks in a round isn't bad. Of course, the rogue is outdamaging the monk with a single attack per round, and the wizard is doing 40 d6 in 4 times 40-foot radius spheres, so the astral monk is still behind. But not bad. And these very loud, very obnoxious players screamed, "OP, OP, they can't be allowed to do 6 attacks! This breaks the game and ruins everything!" Math not being one of these people's strong suits, nor apparently game design. The 17th level feature also allowed the regaining of some key when someone died near you, which was a straight-up good feature, making this nearly a good subclass, at least at 17th level. Not so great before 11th. And those same people screamed about that. And WotC folded, meekly giving in and nerfing what had been, at best, an okay subclass, and making it weak in every way. And now those same voices are complaining that the subclass sucks. Well, yeah. I wonder why. Okay, so what's the problem in the current form? It goes wrong from the start. 3rd level, Arms of the Astral Self, which costs 2 key, of course, meaning you aren't doing much else at low levels. What you get are those astral arms with a reach of +5 over normal, so probably 10 feet. They also do a little damage to enemies within 10 feet of you when they're summoned, which is good since you gave up making a bonus attack action to summon them. The nerfed arms now allow you to use wisdom in place of strength for checks and saves, which will come up almost never. But fine, as long as we're getting some good stuff. You can make unarmed attacks with the arms, and you may, though you don't have to, use wisdom instead of dex for attacks and damage. Well, fine. Then we can make a wisdom build. But hold. Dex is still part of our AC, so we can't dump it. But it does let us focus a bit more on wisdom, so that's good. Or would be if the rest of the class had loads of features based on wisdom, but it doesn't. Okay, but having range is good. Or would be if this was something we were just gaining, but it's not. It's something we're trading for. See, the arms only do unarmed strikes. No weapons. So if you're using them, you're giving up damage. Your regular attack could be a D8 with a quarterstaff, but if you're just using the arms, you're doing a D4. If you use a weapon and just arms for your bonus attack actions, then you're having to close in, so the arms having range is now pointless, and you have to have your dex in good shape. Monks are primarily damage dealers. Any feature which reduces that is not a good feature. Even if you're taking this subclass, you'd be better off focusing on dex, even when using the arms, and not using them at all at low levels. Use your key on Flurry of Blows and fight with a quarterstaff. Well, things better get better at 6th when we get Visage of the Astral Self, which does absolutely nothing for either our damage output or our defense. And of course, it costs ki. It gives us 3 features for 10 minutes. Advantage on insight and intimidation checks. Ugh. Well, nice to have advantage on intimidation since we dumped charisma, so we're still going to be terrible at it. Insight might come in handy somewhere. I like it a lot when running a game, but in practical terms, this applies little. Okay, also, you can either project your voice to one person 60 feet away or make it booming to everyone in 600 feet. Fine. Some utility there. Not a lot, but sure. And you gain Devil's Sight, able to see in magical and non-magical darkness. Hey, it's a feature I want. In some parties, with allies casting darkness, it'd be really good. Of course, it'd be a lot better if you could cast darkness, but oh well. So, 1 good feature, and 2 I'll politely call situational. And our damage dealing is still below the monk base. Great. At 11th, we get Body of the Astral Self, which you get for free if you have up both the arms and visage. Except wait. That's not free if I don't want to have up both the arms and visage, like if I'm fighting a horde in a field at high noon. Fine, what do I get? 2 features. Deflect Energy, which lets you reduce elemental energy damage by a small amount. It's a massively weaker version of the first level spell Absorb Elements. The wizard is laughing at the monk. But at least it does something. Empowered Arms, which lets you do an extra martial arts die of damage when you hit with the arms once per turn. Great. This is a solid feature. At level 3. At 11, this is far too little too late. Remember, we've gotten nothing else useful in combat. So this is it. Basically, we get nothing else till 17th, which most players will never get to, and even if you do, you're rapidly approaching the end game. Fine, so what do we get at 17th? The level where wizards are casting Wish daily. Well, we get to spend 5 ki for our full astral body, which gives us the added benefits of a +2 to armor class. Hey, I love a +2 to armor class. Good stuff. Didn't the Kensai monk get that at level 3? And we get an additional extra attack when we take the attack action. Good. We need it. Not that it will bring the Astral Monk anywhere near to where it should be damage-wise at this level, but I suppose I should be grateful that it doesn't completely suck. This is really sad. And there isn't even any cool flavor. This is an astral subclass, so shouldn't there be something added to the empty body base monk feature dealing with astral projection? Or anything? Besides Devil's Sight, which you can now get with a feat, not that I'd suggest that for a monk, the subclass offers little. The UA version was low to middle of the pack, but this is atrocious. Possibly the worst monk subclass, which is saying something when you look at other monk subclasses. At least 4 Elements offers something different, allowing for some reasonable roleplay and underpowered fun. It wouldn't have been that hard to make this good, starting by making the astral arms actively a positive at damage dealing, so that choosing them at level 3 improves the character instead of making it a questionable trade. That was depressing. Is Way of Mercy better? Let's see. The description suggests a gentle, serious healer who sometimes must commit euthanasia. The image is of a crazed plague doctor. That's all a bit odd. Doesn't really fit together, but it's amusing, and I like odd. The class features start with proficiency in insight, medicine, and the herbalism kit, which is more or less the definition of a ribbon feature. But then we also get a mask, which is cool. You can choose from the 6 options or randomly determine which you get. There's a skull mask, a raven one, and a crying and laughing visage. Okay, as a DM who ran a campaign for years that was built around masks, and whose wife won the Nebula Award for science fiction literature for a story focusing on masks, I love this. I can't wait to see how the masks relate to later features and how they affect the monk's abilities. It's great stuff. Let me look here. Let me see. Scrolling. It's got to be here somewhere. Nothing. Really. Nothing. This is just sloppiness. Or did they forget how to design? This is not how you design a class. If you put in something like this as a feature, not as a part of a description, then it needs to do something. Good design means you connect your flavor with your mechanics. The masks needed to determine later development or supply an ability. If not, you don't put them in. I can think of all kinds of ways they could have done this, but nope. It turns out, after that build-up, that the Mercy Monk never needs to even wear a mask at all. Ah! With that level of complete design ineptitude, I can imagine just how horrendous this subclass is going to be. So let's see what else it gets. Also at 3rd, Hands of Harm. After you hit someone, you can spend a key to do a martial arts die plus your whiz modifier in damage once per turn. Huh. That's a reliable source of extra damage. At low levels, when you don't have much ki, you can use this instead of Flurry of Blows, as you know the damage will apply. And at high levels, you can do both. It's nothing astounding, but it isn't bad. And one more thing, Hands of Healing, which supplies a crappy Cure Wounds. It's not bad. It isn't good either. Some out-of-combat weak healing. About what I would expect. Hold just a second. What's this? When you use Flurry of Blows, you can replace one punch with this healing without spending additional ki. So, in that case, it doesn't require an action, or even a bonus action, but half a bonus action. So you can heal and still get in multiple attacks. That's good. Not kinda or sorta, that's straight up a good ability. Can keep up frontliners, or wake up your cleric. And the monk can touch himself, keeping him in the fight longer. He'd still want to rely on a cleric or druid or paladin for party healing, but this is a nice extra. Okay, but this is a monk subclass, so the 6th level feature should give us not much for an extra ki cost, as everything costs more ki. So what do we get? Hands of Harm now inflicts the poison condition. What? For free? Yeah, no ki cost. And no save for your enemies. This just happens. So now, not only are you doing more damage than a base monk, but your control debuffing just became reliable. There's no trading here. This is just good. Well, I'm shocked. And we also get a healing feature. Hand of Healing now also ends one of a disease or the conditions blinded, deafened, paralyzed, poisoned, or stunned. No extra ki cost, just an improvement. And what an improvement. Hand of Healing now is a combination of Cure Wounds and an improved Lesser Restoration, all done in half a bonus action. The Mercy Monk is no longer dabbling in healing. In combat, he could be better than the cleric for most situations. I picture this as the monk running up to the paralyzed barbarian and slapping him, yelling, "Hey, pull yourself together!" This is getting confusing. A monk subclass that just makes the monk better? Didn't know we could have one of those. Alright, I'm kind of getting my hopes up. Will I be disappointed? 11th level, Flurry of Healing and Harm. If you use Hand of Harm with Flurry of Blows, you don't have to spend the key. The resource cost just went way down. That's another solid ability. And for healing, you can now replace 2 Flurry of Blow strikes with Hand of Healing without an additional key cost. That's also nice. Probably won't come up that often, but if the whole party just got blinded, this could come in handy. I'll take it. And that's it till 17th, but it's good. This is playable. And what do you get at 17th? Hand of Ultimate Mercy. For 5 key, you can bring someone back to life. So the Way of Mercy also has a good capstone. Damn. Okay, by 17th level, your party has either already found a way to bring people back to life, or your DM is very kindly. But it doesn't hurt to have a backup. And for reviving in combat, this is better than anything the cleric can do, since it only takes an action, supplies hit points, and doesn't need components. This is a whiplash. After a terrible start, the Way of Mercy monk ends up as one of, if not the best monk subclass. It does everything a good subclass should mechanically, making the monk better at what it's already good at, shoring up weaknesses, and supplying variety with a new job, healing. I love it. I even love the masks, which I will change. Really, just homebrew a purpose for them. A +1 to either healing or damage is the obvious first choice. If you are afraid of messing with the subclass mechanics, which is fair, then just allow the mask to give the monk 1 non-attack cantrip, or a once daily use of a first level spell that doesn't do damage. That shouldn't mess up balance and make the masks do something. My favorite idea is to break up the 6 functions of Greater Restoration and put 1 in each mask. The monk only gets 1 mask, so must decide if he wants to be able to remove a level of exhaustion or the charmed effects, etc. Beyond that weird design decision, Way of Mercy is a welcome addition. This one was worth waiting for. And that's it for monks in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And that's it for me today. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe. Please keep playing D&D, and you can do that if you keep drinking 5 or 6 cups of coffee.